Real Estate, not WEEV or Good Pharma Brand.
And welcome into Taking Care of Business, and thank you, Wally, for that wonderful opening. We are here with the Klodowskis, your local real estate advisors. We've got Abby and Chris here. You guys actually switched spots today. Normally,
we did, throwing me off a little bit over here.
All right. Throwing me off a little. How are you ladies doing this week?
Great.
Well, it's good to have you guys in. I miss seeing you guys in here.
Same.
And, whenever we have you on, I always try in my back of my brain to think of the weirdest real estate questions, and I know you guys probably are get asked a million times over. But you guys brought something today, before we get into my weird questions, that actually is kind of an important thing, and it's something that I think a lot of people overlook initially. And we've heard a lot of, do we do it, do we don't do it, especially with the market the way it's been. We're talking a little bit about home inspections here.
Yes.
Before I dive into those, though, I'm going to make you guys let everybody know how do they get a hold of you. Phone numbers, websites, give the whole 9 yards.
KlodowskiRealEstate.com. Our website, you have to register to get in there. After that, we don't contact you, we don't call you, we don't text you, we don't email you regularly. It is free for you to search houses on. We are linked with the statewide multiple listing service, so it updates as often as the MLS does. We have a Facebook page, Klodowski Real Estate, and we have a kind of fun thing going on there right now. For the month of November and December, each Friday we're posting Where is Klodowski Real Estate to support some of our local area businesses. So we're posting a picture of us in one of the...
I think I saw one of those with Abby in it. Okay.
Yeah, one of the locations, and anyone who enters right answer or wrong answer is entered to win a $25 gift certificate to that establishment. So week 2 is up currently. We post a new one and draw on Fridays now through the end of the year, so that's super fun.
I kind of like that you're doing the right answer, wrong answer. At least you tried. We appreciate that. You're still thrown in the drawing.
Or our office number is 920-219-9212.
Wonderful. So let's get into home inspections a little bit. This is one of those things where, in my knowledge from talking with you guys, and having bought one home, so I feel like I'm an expert now. Thank you for laughing at that. I appreciate that. It's something that it's one of those important things that comes up where it's like, okay, we find a house we like. We think we want to put an offer in. Maybe we do put an offer in. Then you go ahead and you pay for somebody to come and take a look at the home, and then you stress as you wait to hear back, right? Like that seems to be the
seller and the buyer. So kind of reviewing the home inspection items gives the seller an opportunity to maybe, if they're aware of something, correct that before they're going on the market. But for the buyer, especially if they're not well versed in, or as you're walking through, you don't notice something, the home inspector comes in and they go through little everything from the top of your chimney, your roof, the windows, the interior, the exterior, the outlets, the yard, the garage, the electrical panel, the HVAC system, the actual foundation, everything. And some people get really, they get upset, like, wow, they really picked this place apart. But a home inspector's job is pretty neutral. He's not there to help the buyer. He's not there to help the seller or she. He or she is there just to make a report of everything they found in the home. And it's not uncommon. I mean, I've seen one over 100 pages once, but usually somewhere between 35 and 80 pages, because they include a lot of photos, and then there's some general information about like what you should be expecting, and tips for future home ownership. Changing your furnace filter regularly. If you don't have frost-free faucets, shutting those off and draining those when it gets to be this time of year so the line doesn't freeze. Tips for future home ownership as well. Trimming shrubbery that rubs against the siding.
Right. And just because you get back a long report doesn't necessarily mean that it's all bad stuff. It could just be, be aware your roof is starting to show its age.
Yep.
Or
roof is 15 years old. Keep an eye on it in the next 3 to 5 years.
Looks like there's 35 layers of paint on the windowsill. Be careful when you decide to scrape and repaint. Stuff like that. One of the questions I have about this is I always think of it in the sense of, as a buyer, I'm walking in, and I want that home inspection so I know there's not going to be any surprises. Because when I walk through the home, I haven't lived there. I don't know that at some point in time maybe there's a giant hole in the floor that they've just covered in sawdust and painted to look like wood. Right?
Funny that you say that. I have a deck story about that just this summer.
Well, I'd love to hear it. But yeah, so I mean, there's also things that maybe you just don't know that have happened, and so you want to be prepared for that. And these people go in and they're very detail oriented with what they're looking for.
and they've gone through, education and licensing to be in the position they are to perform a home inspection.
Now, I don't know if you guys are on TikTok at all, if you guys get into the social
I am
medias and
not.
things.
Are you, Abby?
A little?
The thing is that TikTok could suck me in for like 8 hours at a time, so I don't do
Okay.
TikTok.
Okay. I do it, but I'm one of those guys where it's like I'm waiting to pick up the kid from work at like the Pig, and I'm just sitting in the parking lot, and I'm like, what the heck? And I'll and I have stumbled upon recently a couple of people who do videos where they are home inspectors, and they show some of what they're doing. And this guy literally walks around with, looks like a little metal like nail, and he just starts kind of poking at baseboards outside and the wood and everything to see, is any of it rotting, and the posts and this and that. And I thought, is it really that in depth? But it is.
What I've seen is usually they pull out a key and kind of touch at the siding, and if like you gently touch and the key goes in,
Right, then that
even
means
if it
the
has
wood's not solid
yeah,
anymore.
even if it has a fresh coat of paint on it, like someone was preparing for a sale, the wood could very well be rotten underneath.
Now, the list you guys brought in here, which is kind of a home inspection checklist, and it's got a lot of different segments in it, but these are, it's not an all-inclusive things they're looking at, but it definitely highlights some of the big ones. The first section on here is about structural stuff, and this seems like something that maybe you would see, but maybe you would ignore, pass over.
It really, when you're as a buyer, to go to a house and look at it, and I was this buyer my first time. Oh, it's so cute in the living room, and it has well, at that time there really wasn't LVP that I'm aware of, but like the laminate floor in it, and it has the 3 bedrooms, and we're all close together, and it has some finished basement space, like way beyond my comprehension to think about the black felt paper on the wall in the garage where it's supposed to be, current code is drywalled and mudded and taped, so if a fire started in the garage, it slows down the spread into your house. Whereas I had like stuff, I think if it sparked would have lit the whole wall up.
Right.
But you're looking at the house to live in it, to make it your home. Whereas that's why it's good to have a second set of eyes with you sometimes, especially if you're a new homeowner, or to be working with an agent that's going to point some things like that out, that has some experience, and say, oh, this, or oh, that. It's not uncommon to see, especially in older homes in the city, where the wash machine drains into the floor drain in the basement. It is what it is.
That's my parents' house growing up, and
Yep.
if you accidentally kicked the hose out, then water got all over the
Yep.
basement floor, and
Yep.
my dad got so mad.
But technically the home inspector is going to point that out, that it should actually be plumbed into the waste line going out to the city sewer. And then it comes down to a matter of like, is the buyer okay with it like that, or do they want the seller to fix it? So we try and point out some of those things that we know would come up on a home inspection in advance of, because if something like that was just a flat out deal breaker for somebody, we would write into the offer that the seller to have wash machine properly plumbed prior to closing type of thing. So we try and ward off any surprises that come up that are deal breakers.
All right, that makes sense. I think back to when we were looking, and my wife, not to throw her under the bus, but she was the one who'd walk into a kitchen and be like, oh, I love these counters. And I was the one like opening and closing drawers to see if they opened and closed properly,
Yeah.
because we had different mindsets of
Yeah.
what was important there. And I remember one house we walked into, I was like, wow, I really like this basement. It's really nice. And then we noticed that for whatever reason, the walls were slightly a different color, about 2 feet up, down. And we're like, why would that? Probably water, right?
Yeah.
So, like, luckily, coming from a little bit of a background, a very minor background in construction for my family, I was able to point those out and kind of see them.
Sure.
But the vast majority of people have no clue. right?
Correct.
And the season that you're seeing the house in might not be the season that's the roughest on that house. So that does make a lot of sense. Now, they go over a lot of things. On here you got structural, exterior, grounds, roof, attic, basement, and crawl spaces, interior. Obviously, some of these places, I think about crawl spaces is a great example. Sometimes when we're house shopping, we're like, I don't really want to crawl in there and get dirty.
In most of the houses that have crawl spaces, no one can crawl
Right.
in there. I mean, like they are almost like the height of a cold air return.
Right.
Like that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, we looked at our house. They called it a crawl space. It's like a half basement,
Oh,
I
sure.
have to bend down.
That's a
to walk
true
around.
crawl. You can actually
Right.
crawl in the crawl space.
Like I'm thinking about getting one of those garage like mechanic rollers to just get on and roll around down
The
there.
car creeper.
Right, but then the wife said I'd never get out of there, so she's probably not wrong.
Think about how quiet it'd be in there, though.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Except when the furnace is running. Furnaces are always loud. Well, at least our furnace is old. But yeah, so that's one of those areas where you're not going to get in there. You're not going to look around, but a home inspector is going to look
Yeah,
in there.
just like those scuttle holes in garages, and usually sometimes in a hallway or in a closet, where the home inspector, they're going to get up there into the attic space, if able, and most of the time they're able to go from end to end to make sure they don't, see. One, bat droppings is in a true attic, bat
Right.
droppings or mouse runs. Moisture condensation. If your bathroom fan is actually venting just into the attic space and it's not plumbed up through the roof to get that moisture out of there. But yeah, they get in there and check all that out.
Yeah, they want to hide, or not find indicators of mold and growth
Right.
and things. You mentioned a little bit about a horror story with a deck. I'm going to ask you guys now. Is there an inspection that comes to mind without giving too many details? What you can share, where everything looked fine, and then the home inspection finds something that you were like, "Wow."
Well, I feel like the big ones of those are like knob and tube that was somewhere that we didn't go, like in an attic that there's a hole for, or like when they measure the foundation walls, you can see, and we'll point out when we can literally see a foundation wall.
Right. It's leaning out, leaning in.
Yeah, well, it's
sunken down.
really out. Usually, it's not. It looks like it's in because there's like a V coming at you, but it's the top going out, if I remember correctly. But yeah, foundation walls, and then usually like just what's the nice way to say poorly done?
Shoddy.
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 Like shoddy
Very technical
plumbing
term.
or like true DIY
Right.
mechanical type stuff.
Spend a little too much time on the DIY channels, and now you think you can, plumb your own basement or put your own bathroom in. Where you
Or like
think you
people
want
who
one.
do, I just had a couple buy a house, and the people who sold the house did not have an inspection when they moved in. And now that they've sold the house, they had to fully replace the roof, even though it was just done in 2011. The people who were selling didn't put the roof on. And the shingles from down on the ground looked just fine, but all of the actual, like, technical things roofers do, like having the flashing correctly and all of those things were done incorrectly. So my buyers have a brand new roof because their roof was done by DIYers essentially, and because they didn't get an inspection, they didn't know that. Yeah. So sometimes huge stuff like, an $18,000 roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, inspections are important, and the market is kind of evened. Is that it?
I would say even.
Evened
That's
a little
good way to
bit.
put it.
Like
Okay.
buyers have some more
Leverage, some
leverage.
negotiating power.
Yeah, like you can write an offer with an inspection, and it might get accepted.
Okay. Feel a little more comfortable about doing
Yeah.
that. So I want to ask you about any you might have. I know you were mentioning that deck. Can you tell us more about
The
the
deck did not come up in the home inspection.
Oh.
Was freshly done, freshly painted. Home inspection on the house, everything panned out well. Folks closed on it, moved in, and the wife was walking across the deck with a pot of flowers that they were moving in, and her leg proceeded to go through the deck.
Oh.
And the sellers had, and you could see then at that point, filled it with something, like it was a white material they had filled, and then either painted or had the deck painted. That it was just rotted out and did not disclose on their real estate condition report, and they had owned it for 20 plus years.
Right.
Did not disclose in their condition report. So at that point, after a closing, that's where a buyer then has to go to their attorney and say, hey, they clearly knew about this because they had this done or did it themselves.
Right.
but they didn't tell us anything about it in their condition report.
And that's kind of one of the points of the home inspection is it's not just a, okay, tell me everything that's wrong that might need to be fixed or I need to negotiate for, but it also is just a peace of mind for everybody. It gives you knowledge so you know.
And especially with the period of time we went through where getting an offer accepted with a home inspection was relatively slim. So there have been a number of homes sold in the last 3-4 years where people waived their opportunity to have a home inspection. So then when they had to go on the market, they don't have knowledge of what was wrong with their house.
Right.
If there's a bunch of double tapped breakers or something like that, they didn't have an inspection. And if they're not an electrician, they don't know that. So they're not able to disclose that.
Right.
So by having a home inspection done, you now have knowledge of all the things that may potentially be a defect in the house. And then it's up to the buyer and seller how they want to negotiate those items to proceed with a purchase if they choose to.
And that can be a real eye-opener for a homeowner who went in, made an offer, no inspection, just to get the home. And now it's 5 years down the line, and they're ready to sell, and inspection comes in, and it turns out there's all these problems they didn't even know because it wasn't
like
a
Abby
big
said,
enough problem.
The house had a 12-year-old roof on it. Well, 12-year-old roof, I mean, if someone tells me the roof is 12 years old, I'm like, that
Right.
should be pretty good. Whereas with a home inspector doing it, it's going to tell you not so much.
Right. That makes sense. A thought that I had, is there any incentive for a seller to get their own home inspection done prior to even listing the home?
We sometimes offer that option. I have one right now where the seller went with a pre-sale home inspection just to avoid any surprises. She has a newer house, so a couple things came up, like one GFCI outlet wasn't working. There was one other electrical thing. So she had those repaired, and then we shared the copy of the inspection report with any buyers. Buyers still entitled to write an inspection into their offer and have their own done.
Right.
Pluses and minuses. One, you can find out ahead of time and get those things taken care of. The minus being, as the home seller, if you are made aware of defects, you now have to disclose defects.
Right.
And sometimes the list can be pretty lengthy, like lock is broken on a window, or the seal is out of the window when you have like cloudy windows and that gas is out of there.
Right.
The seal is broken. Does the window still keep the moisture out? Does it, those things, yes. Some people could care less, and others would be like, nope. But if you have a lengthy list of defects you're disclosing, even there are a bunch of little things,
Right.
first-time home buyers might be a little scared off by that.
Right. That might be where as a seller you then want to come to the table with a lengthy list of the little repairs that you've made.
Yep,
to kind of fix
absolutely.
That out. That makes a lot of sense. I do want to take a moment to remind everybody this is a paid program. The advice and opinions expressed during the program are that of Klodowski Real Estate, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands. I want to dive a little bit more into how home inspections are paid for. So if you're doing it obviously as a pre-sale thing, the seller's paying for it.
Correct.
If you're doing it as a buyer walking in, you're paying for
Correct.
it. Is there an understanding of kind of how much this costs? Are you able to kind of advise?
We generally ballpark people. Obviously, if you're buying a 6,000 square foot house, the price is going to go up.
Right.
I say between $350 and $450, or $4 to $450 in that window. And then if a buyer has a radon test done at the same time, radon is a colorless, odorless gas that occurs in the earth and comes up through openings. I mean, concrete's porous anyway, but cracks in the basement floor, your sump crack. They test those numbers because radon is the third leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers.
Oh wow.
And if you're if you have a fieldstone basement and you're not doing anything down there, up to you. Right. If there's finished living space down there and you're going to be hanging out down there, it's something you likely want to know. But then the radon test, in addition to a home inspection, is between $100 and $150 additional dollars.
Yeah, I mean, so when you think about it, even if you get the radon test added on there, we're talking maybe in the $600,
Correct.
$700 range, for most average homes, for the peace of mind that's going to give you, that there's probably not going to be anything major you're gonna stumble upon. That is definitely something that sounds like it's worth it. You said things are kind of getting back to even now, so now people are putting in offers. They can put in offers with a home inspection on there as a stipulation, and they're much more in the running now than they used to
Correct.
be.
Like you could go out and I think when I looked this morning, if you wanted to look at homes between 230,000 and 250,000, I think you could look at 7 houses that are available in the 53916. Whereas a year and a half, 2 years ago, if that house hit the market today, you wanted to be in there today because by tomorrow it was going to be under contract.
And so I'm glad to hear that there now is a little more time for people and it's a little more competitive for the buyers. Does this mean that we're seeing the value of homes dropping, or is it just people selling homes has become more common? Like there's just more homes available?
There's definitely more inventory available. I don't know that I feel like the values. What are your thoughts on that, Abby? I don't feel like the values.
I don't
have
feel like
come
people
down.
are writing 20,000 over asking, but
And maybe even negotiating. I mean, if you're a house listed at 235, people might even write their offer for 230 and include a home inspection.
That makes sense. That makes sense. What else are we seeing going on right now out there in the market? Are we seeing any new trends coming? Anything people need to be aware of? Like, are we going to bring back, the weird carports between the house and the garage again?
I like those.
I mean, they're nice when the weather's bad, right?
I mean, I feel like it's just like you put a Christmas tree in there.
Abby has been in the holiday season for what's today, November 19th, for about 20 days now.
Okay. that sounds about right. My wife is almost there. The one complaint she has about our current home is that there is not enough little, just like places for her to put decorations.
Christmas things, sure.
Like we had one place that we rented that she loved because you walk in the entryway and for whatever reason, over the door there was just this alcove. And she made me buy a tree just to put in the alcove.
It's obviously time to sell, Ninja.
Right. Yeah, I guess.
Get that lady a new house.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon when
Babe,
you're
if you're watching, no, it's not.
when you're showing a house to have. I've had a gentleman do it once. Generally, it's the female. Walk in and we could put the Christmas tree there. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's June or if it's January. Like, boom,
Top-notch important.
Christmas tree.
I guess, but I mean, for that the one we had, I was like, nobody's gonna see it unless they're actively in our house and they're leaving because that's where it is.
Sure.
'Cause
She
I don't know how many
knows.
people walk in the front
She
door,
knows.
turn around, and there's no decoration up there. I'm now highly disappointed.
Yeah, I bet they are.
Yeah, I guess. To that extent now, let's talk about if somebody's trying to sell a home. I know we say we want to kind of decorate to neutral, even around the holidays.
It gets a little tricky at this time because yes, people love their. We have a new listing on the lake, and we planned accordingly to get the photos done before the Christmas decorations went up. Okay. Obviously, if you want to list a house on December 15th and your decorations are up, your decorations are up.
I added a tree to a house once, like
Did you?
in staging, so
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
I feel like a tree adds for me. I'd be like, oh, maybe this might be the house just because of the Christmas lights.
Now, a buddy of mine has finally invested in something that he is considering to be home added value. He's having permanent lights installed.
Oh, a lot of people are doing
Around
that.
his,
What
like,
are those
eaves
called?
and stuff.
Go
I know his are
Oh,
like,
like those the house in Juneau on the
Govee?
corner.
or
something
something?
like that. Yeah, that might be the brand, I think. But yeah, they're LEDs. They're supposed to last for like 50 years or something. And he's like, I can change the color for every holiday, and
Oh yeah, Govee.
he's very excited about it. Do you think stuff like that actually add value?
Depends upon your buyer. To me, that would add absolutely no value. Clearly, to Abby, she won't even need to go inside. She'd be making you an
It's
offer.
so funny that she says that because you can see her yard from miles away.
I didn't say I
Okay.
don't love Christmas lights. I just said I wouldn't want permanently placed lights on my house.
Well, and this leads us into a conversation we have to have because we every year do a light up the holidays contest where people can put up their best display and get entered in. And you guys have partnered with us for that one. As a matter of fact, I think when we reached out and said we're looking for, you're like, every spot just.
yeah.
So we were like, okay, Klodowski's, yes, and that's all we needed to know. But you guys obviously you are definitely a fan of the holidays, but do you guys like the holiday displays? Do you guys drive around and look at them? Is that a tradition for you guys?
We have traveled to, like we've rented, one year rented a mini bus to have someone drive us, 2 hours away?
At least, I mean, yeah, once we went to all of them, yeah.
So we could all ride together and take grandma and grandpa and have the snacks and yes, toured a few
Snacks and the champagne.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's why you have somebody else drive, so
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah,
can
that's
enjoy
why.
it. That makes sense, absolutely. So does that mean when we get all the entries in for Light Up Holidays campaign locally, you guys are gonna take a little tour to see what's out there?
Oh, we sure will. Absolutely.
And of course they can't sway the vote, so still vote out there.
That's my other half is I don't know if disappointed is the right word. He loves the light display.
Is he disqualified?
I'm pretty sure he would be disqualified.
That's unfair.
I mean, it's a public vote. I don't know. Maybe talk to Kale. He's in charge of all the contest stuff.
I told him he would be disqualified, but I was going to ask if maybe he could just still be entered for the joy and seeing his entry.
At the very least.
But knowing that he could not partake in any
send us some really good photos.
position.
We'll use those in the display material at the very least, so people know.
It's pretty legit.
It needs to look at least this good.
Oh no! Okay.
I wish that they would. I think they disassembled the float they used that one year with the reindeer. Oh, I love that. I wish you would have put that in your yard.
Be amazing.
The float or your house?
Do you guys add to your decorations every year, like a new thing here, new thing there, to kind of expand it?
Oh, he does.
He does. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I think
last year it was ornaments.
Oh.
But it's like a blow up, but they're shiny, so and it was, I don't know, 7. I mean, it looked like a pile of ornaments in the front yard. It was very large.
BAO, big A ornament. You know.
Oh, yep. We're on the same page. We know what's going on there. No, that's awesome, and we are definitely huge fans of Light Up the Holidays contest. You'll be able to find details on dailydodge.com. And of course, we want to thank the Klodowskis for partnering with us on that. And it's not just because you guys love homes, obviously. It sounds like you love the holidays.
It's because we really want Chris to win the contest.
That's exactly it. 100%. 100%.
The community sense, like to decorate our community and get everyone. Like Zimmerman Subdivision does that one where I think it's the second Sunday.
With like a food drive thing.
Yes.
I think it's the first. I think it's the day after the parade usually. So
I had seen them post about it, but they light up the whole subdivision. Like, how fun is it to go drive around? Even as a kid,
right?
Yeah,
it was painful after Christmas Eve church. Like, we'd have to drive through. Thank goodness it was Juneau and not Beaverdam. Drive through Juneau and look at all the Christmas lights before we could go home and open gifts.
Right. I understand that. Yeah, my kids, they're always bugging me to go and do the drives because they're bored at night and they want something to do. And when I'm mean and say no TV, and then all right, let's go look at lights. But then I always feel bad because I find I have zero time to put lights out. So my wife decorates the porch, and you can kind of see that that's lit up and looks nice. And so then I get every year Dad, we look like the Grinch house. The neighbors have lights up. They have stuff outside. And apparently you can't just cheap out with the things that project on the side of the house. That doesn't qualify. That's not good enough.
There's the good old classic, just the wreath with the red bow and like a spotlight on it. Good enough.
I think that's fine.
I think that's great.
Absolutely. I've always wanted the yard lights that you can have like along the walkway or whatever. It's like, and then I'll just change out the bulbs.
They now have ornament-shaped ones, or not ornament, like the old screw-in bulbs that you can put along your walk.
Oh, babe, no. I know she's listening and making a list right now. 'Cause she loves to go out for the holidays.
Hopefully she has a notebook.
Yeah, she probably does. Let's get back into more home talk though, because we could go on and on about that stuff forever. Are there any houses on the market right now that you guys have that you want to talk about? Is there any exciting homes that you're?
Yes, we have a beautiful new listing on Starkweather. It is just about 5,000 square feet. It is 4 bedrooms. All of the bedrooms have their own walk-in closet. Many other closets. It's a double lot, 0.8 acres on the lake. In-ground pool, concrete pool. Irrigation system for the yard, beautiful primary bathroom. Like it is when you walk into the HGTV shows and they say like, oh, this is spa-like. It is spa-like. It is amazing.
Okay.
So yes, that is new to the market. What do you have?
Where's
You're under contract
Starkweather?
already in yours.
Yeah.
trying to think where Starkweather is.
If
the
you go
road.
up past the north side Quick Trip on North Center Street, there will
Right.
be Klodowski Real Estate directional arrows that guide you
I like the arrows.
to
They're
the
helpful.
house.
Yep.
We got you.
We had a little
Perfect.
change this year because you can't put them in the right of way, so now we have to go to the doors and be like, hey, can we trade you a Quick Trip or Culver's gift card to put a sign in your yard? And no one has said no yet, so that's fantastic. We
wonderful.
appreciate them.
That is awesome.
And then Emily.
Emily Lane.
Yeah.
That is a 4-bedroom house. Again, with an ensuite with the soaker tub, the walk-in shower, 2 walk-in closets in the primary. Just a really high-quality built house. It was built to be an Energy Star home. 2-car garage, fully exposed walkout lower level, gorgeous kitchen, main floor laundry, like 2 little sunrooms, one on the main floor, one on the lower. Just beautiful. And that one is $565.
Now, what did you say the price was on the Starkweather home?
Starkweather
I don't think I made a note of that one.
$990,000.
Whew. So outside of that that middle window, that starter home window that
Sure.
we kind of talk about, but sounds like very solid homes. Explain what you mean when you say it was built to be an Energy Star home.
So there's this thing called Energy Star certification.
Yeah, they put the sticker on my TV.
We're
I have to peel it off every time.
where certain extra things have to be done to your home. And this too is what is she, 4,000 some finished square feet?
3,800.
A bunch of unfinished square footage as well, like for storage and that. And the average utility bill on the 12-month is $302. Well, that's gas and electric.
Right.
I think that's stellar, personally.
I was gonna say, depending on how often my kids decide they need just I need to get warm shower.
Sure.
Yeah, that can definitely.
That
be
and
low.
the one on Starkweather, obviously very energy efficient as well because they even have a heated pool, and the average for that one is like $271 a month. Like,
wow.
I don't know what's wrong at my house, but
Yeah, something's real
Right.
wrong in my house.
Kids must have a window open. So then that's another one. So here in the Beaver Dam area to have an in-ground pool. So we talk about home inspections. That's definitely something you want to get checked out, right?
And that's usually a separate option. So the home inspector is not going to delve into the mechanicals of a pool.
Right.
That is something where you would have a pool company come in for, like Newman Pools, for example,
Right.
And have them inspect the pool equipment for you, the mechanicals, and that would be a separate inspection written into an offer if a buyer was interested in doing that. We also do have a bunch of other homes. We have one in Whalen Street listed at $235, three
That's more
bedroom.
in that Goldilocks
Yep,
range for
3
most.
bedroom, 2 bath, main floor laundry, 323 West 3rd Street. That is a 3-bed, 1.5 bath, main floor laundry, fenced yard, 2-car garage at $245.
Now it has a really big like living space too. That
Yeah.
3rd Street one.
Now, you guys have said a couple of phrases that I love because these are things that I remember hearing as being like key things people look for. One, main floor laundry.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about how big that was until I started looking at a house. My wife's like, I'm not carrying laundry up and down those steps. It's not happening.
People, I feel like new builds, people are putting them like in their master closet or on the second floor if that's where their bedrooms are.
Right.
Genius.
I mean, that's great as long as my kids' clothes don't have to be in my room. So
Oh,
maybe
that's
just
fair.
outside the
That's
master?
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then fenced yard. I know that's becoming kind of a bigger and bigger thing. People
Kids,
like their privacy.
dogs.
Dogs, absolutely. I always used to joke that I wanted a fenced yard because then I could run around in the yard wearing whatever I want or lack thereof, and nobody can say anything. Because sometimes you're just like, oh, I have to go turn off the hose in the garden or whatever, and it's like, I gotta.
Unless
throw on.
your neighbors have 2-story
I was gonna
houses
say
and
you're
they're
getting a
like down
little bold.
into-
They're living on the
Luckily, they're all one story.
living on the Fond du Lac Street.
Right. Mine's two. There's all one. But then I'm like, actually, I don't mind being able to just like look over and say hi to the neighbor and whatever. It's only annoying when you don't want to see people. I
Sure.
guess. Need
And
a
it's
pop-up
whatever
fence.
whatever you find appreciation in. Like if you don't have a fence and you appreciate it, great. If you have a fence and you appreciate it, great.
Yeah.
Right.
We also have 34 Taylor Street in Waupun. That's 4 bedrooms, 2 full baths. The kitchen is updated. The flooring is brand new throughout. Down in the basement, there's a brand new bathroom, a brand new laundry room, brand new sump crock, brand new plumbing. all of the things. That's listed
Right.
at $235,000, and that one has a fully like white privacy fenced yard.
Oh.
Yeah. And then we have a 609 East South Street. That is definitely a
Handyman special.
handyman special.
And really not even handyman special. I mean, like someone that's willing, wants
I'd
to get
live
into
there.
a nice house
Especially if my kids weren't coming.
at a great price, and like you could move right in, but slowly do things. I think that would be a great investment for that house. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
great yard. It's a 2-car garage.
Yep.
It has a main
Great
floor
location.
bedroom, main floor laundry.
Yeah.
And those are things, as a home buyer, you really want to think about, right? Like, if you want somewhere you're just going to move in, you're going to live there, you're going to be happy, you don't want to do anything, then you may, I shouldn't say may, you're going to have to spend.
There's a price that comes with that, absolutely.
Yeah, a premium, so to speak.
Yep.
But if you're somebody who says, I don't mind if I have to repaint things, I don't mind if I have to replace a carpet or two or whatever, that there could be some real savings there.
Yep.
So being a smart home buyer is always important. And if you have home buying questions, I'm going to say this again, you got to come talk to the Klodowskis. You guys know what you're talking about. You guys are, and I love this phrase, you are your local real estate advisors. You know, I hate to use the term realtors around you guys. It feels like a 4-letter word. Because you guys advise on so much more. You're going to help with the buying, you're going to help the selling, and you guys have that laundry list of numbers for people who just, hey, I need a pool guy. You probably know somebody, right? I need somebody from
Ironically
HVAC.
enough, we do know
We
pool
know
guy.
we know a guy.
There you go. And that's always a good thing. We always want somebody who's going to know people, and that's a plus. I did want to ask you guys because I got into a conversation with somebody recently, and they're still working in the hotel industry, but they're now working instead of in Vegas, they've moved north to the Montana area, and the hotel that they're now working at is actively advertising because it seems to be getting them more people that they are haunted. And I know I asked you guys before about would you have to disclose if somebody said they think the house is haunted? And they're like, we are booked up constantly because people want the haunted rooms. They want to come in. They want to experience that. What do you guys think?
It's not a disclosure requirement in Wisconsin. However, if a buyer asks
Right.
to have the seller asked if they think the house is haunted, the seller does. There's never a guarantee because there's just liars in the world and their pants should always be on fire, but that's not the case.
Right.
They are required to honestly answer that question. I have friends that, yes, absolutely, they'd be all about it. For me, I would not be booking a room that's advertised to be haunted.
If
Even
a seller,
a smidge haunted, no.
right. I mean, if a seller told you, like, I think the place may be haunted, the cabinets open on their own, or this happens or that happens, would you guys be like, we don't have to put that on this disclosure unless
Honestly,
you really want to?
I think
or...
what I would ask is, are you comfortable with us marketing the house like that?
Right.
Because there is the population that
Like, I'm a believer but a skeptic, so I'd be the person who's like, are you sure your floors just aren't level? Or your
Yeah, I
cabinets
feel
weren't
like
hung
that,
right?
like to completely make it. I would say I don't think we would ever say you don't have to mention.
Right.
We would never use the phrase you don't have to mention that on a disclosure.
Right.
We will never say that. But
Right.
but I don't know that, like, unless you have some sort of like true
Right.
haunted experience, like cabinets opening on their own. There was one farmhouse that I felt like in this one wing of the house. It wasn't bad. It just,
Right.
there was definitely, I don't know.
It felt creepy?
They're not even creepy, just,
It's a
it
vibe.
felt different.
yeah, different than the rest of the house. Yeah. But not bad.
You're not going to lean into that and start, like, asking your photographer to put, like, little ghosts in the background.
Oh,
Like,
no.
Okay.
I mean, maybe,
I
know.
mean-
Guys, call us. Let us
Right.
know if you want to see this,
If
okay?
you really want.
On all of these questions, like, we are happy to sit down or even on the phone with anyone and discuss all the things, whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, whether you think you might be a buyer in 5 years. We're happy to sit down and talk with you and tell you, who you should talk to now to get your ducks in a row for 5 years from now.
And what you should be saying to the ghost now to try to get them to
Right.
leave
Yes.
before
To get them to
What is
move
that?
on.
What's
before
the
you're
smudge stick?
listing.
Yeah, the sage smudge. Yeah,
Yeah,
the white
sage,
sage.
yeah.
Yeah. My wife made us do that when we moved into our house. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this house is fine. She's like, just trying to be safe.
Yeah, but also I feel like
Okay.
people's, like, it's not even as much like, okay, this is a little froofy, I'm sorry, but
No, go right ahead.
it's a little like clearing the energy.
There you go.
Even if
Yeah.
it's not like
That is what a smudge stick,
something
yeah.
haunted, but like
Yeah. And in our
clearing
case,
energy.
it
The
just
vibes weren't great before.
led to my wife walking through the house with a smudge stick and me going behind her trying to get the smoke to not go into the detectors. So yeah, it was a great moment, a little ceremony we had. And again, that's the point. They should be giving you guys a call. What's that number again if they need to call you guys?
920-219-9212.
And I don't think I've asked you at this show who's got the phone this week.
Abby does.
It's you. That's like twice in a row you've come in to me and you've got the phone.
That's what I'm saying.
So-
She has the phone
Oh,
all the
knock it
time.
off.
I'm sure Adam would totally agree. Yeah, absolutely. But people can call you with those weird questions.
Yeah,
and
for
maybe,
sure.
You know, hey, I'm thinking about putting in a pop-down projector that's built into the house. Is that going to add value when I sell it? And you guys could be like, maybe.
If you leave the screen,
Or, yeah,
leave the screen.
right. Do people not leave the screen?
Yes. But I feel like it adds value if they can use it.
Right.
If they have to buy a screen, mount it, add a whole other project to their moving projects, I don't know that it adds that much value.
Okay.
Solar's a common one that people are starting to discuss. Like, if I'm looking at moving in 2 years, should I have this solar
Right.
installed at my house? And I guess really the only noteworthy thing on that is most people that I have worked with have financed their solar. So if your solar was $22,000 and you're paying that over 10 years and you sell in 2 years, that's going to have to get paid off at closing. That doesn't carry over to
Got
be
ya.
a debt for the new homeowner.
That makes sense. And I guess along those same lines, while I'm thinking about it, I imagine at some point, I don't know if you've come across it yet, but electric vehicle charging is going to become something we're going to start seeing in homes more.
Yeah,
I know
there's
I've seen a
even-
couple of Teslas driving around in Beaver Dam even.
When you put in a listing, there's a box to check if that is installed on a house.
There you go. And then, of course, it's another thing that'll probably have to be inspected. Don't want to accidentally blow up your electric car. Not that they're prone to that. I don't want to get anybody freaking out. You're going to get that phone call from the one person. I mean, I don't want to say
We're probably
it,
going to get a
but
phone call, but they're going to want to talk
Yeah.
to you.
I've discovered, and again, no offense to anybody, but electric car owners are very particular and protective of the fact that they have an electric guitar or electric car. And
An electric guitar.
Electric
Yeah,
guitar
and electric
people are very protective
and,
also.
they always have to have the vanity plates that let everybody know how green they are. I'm gonna get so much hate mail now. It's coming. It's coming.
I can hardly tell how you feel about that.
Right?
DJ.
Yeah, not at all. I think it's a great thing. Just don't be pompous about it. It's like owning a really big house. You can have a really nice house. It doesn't mean you have to go around telling everybody you got a really big house, right? Just enjoy the fact that you have a nice home and take care of it, of course. All that being said, any final words for the people out there listening? We know that we now have given the phone number. We can give the phone number again if you'd like. Let everybody know the website again, how they can find you guys, how they can get a hold of you, and go.
Okay. Phone number 920-219-9212. Whether you're buying, you're selling, or you just have questions, don't hesitate to give us a call. Website, Klodowski, Klodowski, KlodowskiRealestate.com. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram. Holiday lighting contest, that's dailydodge.com, right?
That is dailydodge.com. Yep, contest page.
Holiday lighting contest, if you would like to enter, dailydodge.com will have further details. We will also be going through the community if we see somebody that has a great light display, maybe hanging a door tag on there. And there's different categories. So if you are not the all-out, I have a light everywhere possible in my house, there's going to be some other categories as well. So please don't hesitate to enter, even if, no matter what your decorations are. It'll just be fun, and then people will know where they can drive around and take a look at lights.
Absolutely. You're just bringing a little extra joy to the world because
Yes.
that gives people a list of places to check out.
Yeah.
and-
It's a good
and
thing that the
see.
election's over because otherwise people would not have appreciated our door tags.
That's
Right?
true. That's true. They're so much nicer. They're holiday and festive, and I know because I made them. So they're beautiful. Check them out.
And we are grateful for you. We are grateful for our community, and we want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. That's coming up too. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. Wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving as well. Always wonderful to have you on. And remind everybody on Facebook, start figuring out where the Klodowskis are. So look for those posts and find out where they're at. And
When do we draw the last one? Next Friday? Or this coming Friday?
Each Friday we post the new and draw for the prior week. Yep.
okay, so
So you still have time to enter the one from last week, and there's lots of clues because everyone is coming to the same thing.
And you,
Okay.
again, you don't have to have the right answer. A
Right.
random winner will be drawn for the $25 gift certificate to that place.
there you go. That's awesome. I love it. And way to support local business as well. That's awesome. So again, thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate you guys taking the time.
Thanks, Ninja.
This has been Taking Care of Business. The views and opinions expressed during the show have been that of Klodowski Real Estate, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands.